Good morning, students, and welcome again our next session of Chapter 1 Growing Plants. But students, before I start my chapter, I want to give you some instructions. Please follow these instructions very carefully. In the previous session, I already have given you some work to do, and I hope that you all have did that. So please follow the instructions. First, make a science notebook. You all know that the science notebook which you have to made, it should be interleaf, means one side plain and other side ruled. Clear to everyone? If you don't have any new notebook, then please make note in any spare notebook whatever you have, but don't miss this work. Is it clear to everyone? Then view all the attachments related to the topic very carefully, and then please make important notes and do worksheets which is attached with this, and draw diagrams, do question answers after finishing every session. You have to make a record of that. This record will be checked whenever the school will reopen. Is it clear? So now I would like to start my remaining part of the chapter 1. Now, topics to be covered in this session will be the other ways of plant reproduce by the stems, leaves, roots and spores. Now, in this chapter, in this session, we will learn that how plant reproduce other than the seed. So, students, in the previous session, we learned about how seed develop into a new plant. Now, do you know that plant can also be grown by other plant parts also? So first let us renew that how the seed develop into a new plant when it get the all favorable conditions which are required to it. And those favorable conditions were sunlight, water and air. But now here we will learn that how we can produce new plants by other plant parts, and these plant parts may be stem, leaf, spores and many other. So now first we will start from the reproduction from stem. The several natural and artificial methods are there to grow new plants from stem, and from that first is stem cutting. Here stem, you can see in the diagram that stem is being cut from the upper portion. Why from the upper portion it has been taken? Because there is a bud. So this is a growing bud and it helps the plant which you saw in the next pot. So it will help the plant to develop into a new healthy plant. So now stem cutting, as the name is referring that by cutting the stem. So stem is being cut and sown in the another pot for its development. You can even read here that the cutting is placed in soil and roots will form from the base of the cut stem. It means the portion from where the stem is being cut, there new roots arise and it will develop into a new plant. So this was the stem cutting. This can be done in rose and sugarcane and many other plants. This type of reproduction from stem. Now next is grafting. Now here in grafting it is done by taking two plants. Stem cutting is done from only one plant, but in grafting it is done by two plants. Here a stem is being cut from the upper portion in slant manner. Here you can see that it is cut in a slant manner. The upper portion is called scion and the lower portion is called stalk. This scion part is planted, is attached with the lower portion of the another stem of the plant. Here you can see the the bonding has been done, attachment has been done with the another shoot of the another plant, and it has been wrapped or waxed so that this bonding should get perfectly attached. So this is called the grafting. Grafting is done by a portion of the stem of a plant is cut and then attached to the stem of another plant. This can be done in the rose plant and mango and many other plants. So hope you all would have understood both the process, the stem cutting and grafting, and the difference between them. So now students, we will learn about another processes of reproduction through stem. Another process is layering. Now here you can see that a branch has been bent from a plant. Here a branch has been bent from a plant and emerged into the soil. So why it has been done? So that it could develop into a new plant. But here a point has to be noted down that the growing tip has been left open. You can see here that the growing tip is left open and rest of the branch part has been submerged into the soil. Now this slowly developed into roots. It start growing roots from here, and when it started growing root and it form a new plant, this stem will cut from here. The stem will be cut from here. In this way it form a new plant. So this is called layering. Another in the sequence way, further stem has been emerged in the soil and new plant developed from here. This process continues. Layering is a portion of the stem is bent and covered with soil, leaving the growing tip open. Hope you all have understood this process. Later, this portion is cut when roots are grown. Understood? This process can be done in the plants like jasmine and raspberry. Then process came is the runner. Runners are natural. These plants have horizontal stems. You can see here it is having an horizontal stem and which grow on the ground, which develop into a new plant. Here the roots get arises and this runner continues on the whole ground. In this way it runs on a ground. That is why it is said runners. Such plants have horizontal stems that grow on the ground. This has been this you can see this process you can see in the strawberry plant and many rest of the plants. So in this way the reproduction of the stem can be done by these four processes. First was stem cutting, second was grafting, third was layering, and fourth is runners. So now you learn that how reproduction occur through stems. Now we will learn how reproduction occur through leaves and roots. Yes, it's amazing to hear that reproduction can also be done from leaves. Yes, in some leaves like bryophyllum and begonia, reproduction occurs through leaves also. Look here, there are small plantslets arising from the margin of the leaf. This is because the leaves have buds at the margins. You can see small buds arising from the margins and this develop into small plantlets. When they drop down on the soil, fall off in the soil, they develops into a new plants. So in such plants, plantlets arise from the leaves and when they fall off from the leaf, it develops into new plant. Reproduction from roots. Now there are some roots also which can reproduce and form and develop into a new plant. Some plant parts which store food. You have already read that the parts which store food in their roots are carrot, radish, and many other plants. So when we plant these stored part in a soil, it develops into a new plant. We can did this practically also, which we'll be discussing later on. So you can see that how reproduction can be done from stem, leaf, roots. Now next we will move on the reproduction done by other parts such as spores. Now students, we will learn how plant reproduce through spores. Here you can see a plant having some brown circular structures. Are you able to hear, are you able to see these structures, brown structures on a plant? These are actually spores. And if I say in a singular term that this single dot is said to be as sori. The single dot is called sori, and this sori contains lots and lots of spores in it. So some plants do not bear fruits and seeds. They have these special features or structures which help them to reproduce. So these spores, when fall on the soil, they develop into a new plant. These spores can be found in some plants like ferns and mosses. In this way, spores help in reproduction of the plant. So now here students, we will learn something which we can do practically through an activity. Here you will learn and also you will observe how the plants can reproduce through other plant parts. So aim of the activity is to study how plants reproduce through stem. The material which you have to take is two potatoes, cotton and water. Why you are taking potato? Because potato is an underground stem. You all know that potato is an underground stem. Now, what you have to take in the potato is the eye part of the potatoes. What is the eyes of the potatoes? Actually, they are nodes of the potatoes. You know that stem have nodes and internodes in them. So eyes are the actually nodes of the potato stem. So first method, first you have to do is to moisten the cotton. Means you have to put some water on the cotton so that it get moist and then wrap the potatoes in it. After doing this, you have to keep these potato pieces which are wrapped in the cotton, you have to keep them in warm place for few days. Then you will observe some green birds arising from small eye part of the potatoes. Now second method, what you have to do in the second part, sow one of the potato in the soil and put the second potato in refrigerator. After few days you will observe that the shoot start arising or growing into stem and leaves from the potato which you have sown in the soil, while the potato which you kept in the refrigerator does not grow. Now here I am asking you few questions which you have to answer it by your own. Find the reason of the questions. Why the potato in the refrigerator does not grow? And potato is the stored food form of which of the following plant part? Else of this work you have to do the remaining work which I have attached with this session and the previous session. Again I am reminding you, please make a record of all your work so that it could be checked whenever we rejoin in the school. Till then, for the meanwhile, complete your work and stay at home, be safe. In the next part of the session, we will complete the remaining part of the chapter.